Hi. Today in my participating video, I will be participating in a faculty meeting. This meeting is about a program that our district's doing called Educate, and it's all about integrating technology into our classrooms. This is our third training, and it's our closer for the year on technology. And so in this meeting, I'll be learning about ways to integrate, ways to help kids create using technology, and not just using technology as a substitute for the learning, but to use it as an enhancement for learning. So this meeting may be a little bit loud. It may be hard to see. We're having to do our meeting in our gym today instead of where we normally meet due to the Scholastic Book Fair. So I apologize for that in advance, but I hope that you're able to hear and see me participate. So here we go. Thanks.
Community and student engagement, and not fulfilling the ITL requirements prior to the end of the contract school year may impact our ratings for House Bill 5. And what ITL stands for? ITL stands for Innovative Teaching and Learning. Teaching and Learning. And I was just telling them, Kathy, that I don't know a lot about House Bill 5, but we were told that this is going to directly impact our ratings with House Bill 5. Yeah, okay, great. So we have already focused in the past, I think it was last time, how social media can be used to network with other teaching professionals to further our knowledge and to find more resources and more learning in the areas of pedagogy, content, and technology. And if you see that try-Venn diagram, we've seen it before, and pedagogy and content is what we've been doing all along. What we really need to add is technology, and I know a lot of us are doing it, and but this is the area where we really need to develop. They all are synergistic blend, so if we use all three of them, we should get wonderful results. All right? So throughout the learning today, we'll continue to add more resources to our chart paper, and I know you can't really see it very well, but we have technology tools, instructional strategies, and also classroom management tools. So we'll add a couple of more today, and you will also get to experience a Nearpod, which is something that you can use in your classrooms as well. So the first thing I'd like for you to do is to open your iPad and go to Home Base, Educate Home Base. And Heather will navigate that in case you have forgotten how to get there, okay? Because I know it's been a while.
Okay, so this is our Educate Home Base. This is our Educate Home Base, and if you have forgotten how to get there, if you will go to the LISD page, and then you'll go to Faculty and Staff, and then you'll go under Classroom Resources, you'll go to EduCafe. So, you know, you may have it bookmarked, but just go to EduCafe, and then when you get to EduCafe, you're going to see this, and you'll see a tab at the top for Educate, and you're going to click on that Educate tab. And then you're going to see these boxes, and you're going to go to Educate 1. That's what we are in. We're in Educate 1 Academy. This is the final session of Educate 1, as Teresa was saying earlier, that we were supposed to have it done by spring break, but, you know, things happen, and so we just have to get it done before the end of the year. And, you know, it's not a good time, I understand that, but so we can get our credit, like Teresa was saying. So click on Educate 1 View Resources, and then you're going to be on the home page. And then from here, you're going to see a box over here that says Whole Group Sessions, View Resources. So click on that on the right, where it says Whole Group Sessions, View Resources. Click on that. And then you should see all the sessions that we have done up to this point. And the last one is Session 6, Slammer. So click on View Resources where it says SAMR Slammer. And then you should be where you need to be. So I'm going to give you a second or two to get there, and then Teresa's going to keep talking.
Talk. So as we have in our units of study, there are essential questions here as well. One of them is technology essential in the process of learning? Who owns the learning? And why is it more urgent than ever to make education relevant and meaningful? I think there's a lot of answers that we could give to that. Does anybody have any thoughts on any of them? Technology, to me, I think technology is essential in the process of learning because that's our future. If the kids don't know technology, they're going to be lost in the workforce. Anything else? Students own learning, absolutely. They get very engaged. Anything else? All right. And the learning targets for today are going to be, I can communicate the relationship between SAMR and innovative teaching and learning, also known as ITL. I can align digital tools and resources to the instructional practices. And I can identify the ways innovative teaching and learning supports district and campus initiatives. Okay. Display SAMR as a...
All right, so on this page, if you look where it says SAMR activities, well, first of all, let me just explain what SAMR stands for. It's been a while, and we did look at this in one of our other sessions, but SAMR is like that hierarchy, kind of like Bloom's, where the S stands for substitution, and that's kind of the low level of technology, where you just substitute technology for a task. And then as you go up, you're getting higher, kind of like in the higher levels of Bloom's. The A stands for augmentation, and this is all on your sheet that Elizabeth gave you. And that's just a little bit higher than substitution. The M stands for modification, and the R is redefinition. So our goal is to kind of get up to that redefinition, and that's probably not going to happen anytime real soon, but if you have the opportunity to do that, then that's what you should be doing. But we all know that there's a place for substitution as well, okay? Just like there's a place for the lower levels of Bloom's questions in the classroom. So over on the right, under SAMR activities, you see where it says SAMR Examiner, and then right below it there's a link that says Framework for Education 3.0. If you would click on that link, and you're going to go to this. So this is a graphic that's going to kind of briefly explain what each level of SAMR looks like in the classroom. So, I just took over her part. We're going to give you a few minutes to review each level and take some notes on that page of what substitution is, what augmentation is, what modification is, what redefinition is. Give you a few minutes to take some notes, and then after that we're going to show you a couple of videos, classroom videos, and you're going to figure out what level of SAMR is being used in the classroom, so you can kind of see what it looks like in action. So you can work with a partner, you can work with people around you, you can work by yourself right now, but we're going to give you a few minutes just to review those 4 things. And you can use this, or even on the back of your note-taking device, there's some QR codes if you want to look at something else, but I felt like this pretty much told it all in a nice little package.
And then also you have a note-taking device. I can't remember if Heather mentioned it or not, so you can jot your thoughts, your ahas, your wonderings, or your questions there. And we'll go over that in just a little bit. All right, so I know we haven't given you a whole lot of time, but I'd like to know if anybody would like to share what they learned about S, substitution. Any thoughts that you may want to share about substitution?
So when I was reading through it, when I thought about substitution, it's more like instead of writing notes, we're going to type up our notes. So you're not really using it to enhance the learning or the curriculum. It's just using technology for technology's sake. Okay? So that's kind of what I got out of it.
Awesome. Anybody else? Anybody else for S? Okay, how about for the A? And I still get confused. I still have to use my cheat sheet. Augmentation, which just means making it a little better, right? Would anybody like to share some thoughts, questions, wonderings, ahas?
I just thought it was the old-fashioned way of learning, the way we learned. I thought it was the old-fashioned way of learning, the way that I learned as a student, that we just listened to the teacher, we produced something, and basically regurgitated the information. It didn't seem like anything that, wow, this is neat.
Okay. So you had that realization that it was probably what a lot of us, that's how we learn, and that's what we do sometimes. Yeah. Okay, what about the M? Modification. Would anybody like to share something about modification?
Remember, all of these, you're still integrating technology in some way, but it's how you're integrating it to bump it up to that next level. So anything about modification? What is it? What did it mean to you? Belinda?
Well, the big difference is it creates a change in the classroom. For example, it said the 3 C's: communicating, contributing, and collaborating.
Yes.
So perhaps using it to interact with each other, so it causes greater learning that way.
Okay, good. Like blogs, things like that. Getting on, somehow using technology to communicate and collaborate with your peers is an example of modification. Like Google Docs, yes. As long as you're collaborating through the Google Doc, Yeah.
That's an easy way to do it with students. Okay, what about R? Redefinition. This would be the highest in the rung.
This would be
the
the
blues, the
3.0.
high, yes, right.
3.0.
Anybody have any thoughts about redefinition? It allows for the creation of new tasks previously inconceivable.
I have an example of, do y'all remember, I think it was last year, about the robotics club at Leander High School that did the arm for the little 2-year-old?
Yes.
That would be a perfect example of redefinition. Is using technology to do something inconceivable. Who would have ever thought that that was something that our students would have been able to do with technology? That would be a prime example, which we're thinking, oh my gosh, can we do that in elementary school? Probably at a different level, but yes, it's communicating with others globally and doing something that you would never imagine you conceivably do. When I think of redefinition, I think of global, and I remember one year when I taught 5th grade, we did this thing where we visited with, we did a video, kind of like a chat, but this was like 10 years ago, so chat wasn't as popular then, and we talked with scientists from NASA. And when we were sitting in my classroom, they were at NASA, and we were seeing each other, talking to each other live through technology. And I think of that as like redefinition.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And also a lot of times when we do project-based learning, one of the big things about project-based learning is the audience. It's not just your peers, but it's the community at large, and in many instances it can be a global community.
That's somewhat like the coding the kids are learning to do now.
Yes.
Yes.
To create apps and games and things like that.
Yes, and and I wanted to bring up, if you look at this, I love the pictures they use because it really makes sense to me. So like the teacher standing at the class, like what we're doing right now is probably substitution augmentation. But then when you get into collaboration and you see the picture of everybody interacting with each other, that would be more modification. And then you see here how you're going through Facebook and LinkedIn and global, talking through to people that are from other countries. You're getting more to the redefinition level. But what's also cool, just as this was helpful for me, is if you scroll down where it says presentations and video, it gives you an example at each level. So it talks about, that's why I said what we're doing right now is more substitution, augmentation. Online presentations and video are presented as a one-way communication to students in a didactic format. So just doing a PowerPoint from your screen to the students, that would just be substitution. But then it says, learners use online presentations and video as personal mashups. Learners create their own online presentations and videos and share them with online communities. And I see our kids out in the hallways doing that a lot, creating their own commercials and different things. And so taking it to the next level would be having them share that with people outside of our school. So just kind of give you an example. And then it goes through games. Creating your own games, like Wendy said, would be an example of redefinition. And then through writing and reading, just different ways that you can get to that top level. So we're going to move on. And so I'm going to show you the 5th grade classroom, and one video is going to be of a kindergarten classroom. And we want you to figure out what level of SAMR you think is being used in this classroom. And these videos are like a minute long, so they're not very long. Can y'all hear that? Can y'all hear back in the back? No, it's not the greatest way to see it.
Computer center uses PowerPoint like adding pictures to your work.
In the classroom, we are reviewing endangered animals, and what we do is we go to centers, and children have made a project with these endangered animals, and they're taking them into the classroom and creating PowerPoints for each of their individual animals. We're also discussing habitat, environment, weather, vocabulary words, describing what it means, and giving examples of each word. As they work to this, they each do their own taping. They also will go in and edit their film and make sure it's what they need. They will put it into Windows Movie Maker, and they will create their own little vocabulary so it's contextual for them and they can understand what the words mean. With the technology, the students really understand what they're doing. They have ownership of what they're doing. They enjoy it. It's entertaining and fun as well as educational. And they just keep working on it, and they have more excitement about what they're doing. And they have better remembrance of what they have, and they retain that information.
Okay, so I want you to, we're going to share what level of SAMR we think this is through the Nearpod app. So if you could, really, I don't need everybody on it. If you could pair up with one other person and have a partnership where one of you does is going to do the typing on the Nearpod for both of you. Because I don't think you can have everybody on Nearpod at one time. So if you can find a partner and one of you do it and decide. So go ahead and open from your iPad the Nearpod app. If you're on a laptop, you can just go to nearpod.com. So I'm going to make this session, this Nearpod live. And how you're going to get in is when you go to the Nearpod app, there should be a thing that says join session. And so you're going to put in this PIN number. It's kind of like you just put in a PIN and it'll take you straight to the presentation. So the PIN number is EJLSH, and it doesn't have to be caps. It'll look like that. It doesn't advance until I advance it. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. The pen will still be up here. So it's not going to advance till I advance it. So now what I need you to do is come up with a name for you and your partner and type it in there. So it looks like right now only have about 12 people on it. Is it? I don't know. It's technology, you know. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And we've got 16 people on, or 16 partnerships. So this could be a way that we're going to, rather than just say, okay, what level of SAMR do you think that was? You know, and let one person say, this is a way, what we're doing with Nearpod is a way of upping the level, you know, in the classroom. Maybe it's not, it's definitely not redefinition, but maybe we're at augmentation or getting towards modification. But it would be neat if you did this. I tried to do one day we Skyped with Miss Wright Hall's class from Miss McLean's class. Of course, that's not redefinition, but you know, we were Skyping to another classroom and talking and singing a song or something. Anyway, just something to keep in your mind about how we can always get it up a little higher. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to advance it to the next slide. I realize not everybody has been able to get in. I apologize, you might be able to get in later. Okay, so just a quick review of the SAMR model. Think about the video you just saw of the kindergartners and how they were using technology in the classroom, and then decide as a little team, what level of SAMR do you think that was? So look at that model, and then I'm going to advance it, and you're going to take a poll, deciding which one you think it is. Is it substitution, augmentation, modification, or redefinition?
Heather, was it about the video we just watched? What? Was it about the video we just watched? Yes. Okay. Yes.
Decide the video we just watched, the kinder video of the kindergartners. What level? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and advance it to the next slide. Now it should be asking you to make a choice of which level you think it is, and if you look up here, it's going to start showing people's responses.
Oops.
And if you like scroll, you can see everybody's answers. So if you're doing this in the classroom and you're just here, some kids will say, my name's not showing up on there. And it is. It's right here.
ABCD is SAMR?
SAMR. Does it have it on there? Does it say on there?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't label it with A, B, C, D.
Right.
Oh, okay. So I'm assuming A is whatever, what is A on there? Say S, the S? Okay. All right, so we have a couple of different responses. So a couple of people picked B, which is augmentation. Okay, is there anybody who would like to justify why they think this was an example of augmentation? Whoever picked augmentation, who would like to justify their reasoning? Okay, just stand up.
So it seemed like they took regular, vocabulary that you would do a foursquare with or a flip card with and just videoed it and presented it to the class. The teacher looked like she had done all the writing on the whiteboards because it didn't look like kinder writing. So she did it for them, which I guess is acceptable in kindergarten. And they just videoed it and then redid it so they were reteaching or teaching to the class their vocabulary words and their interpretation. So it was a functional integration of technology, but not a complete redesign of how to utilize vocabulary.
Okay.
I
Nola?
It was a whole lot different than just getting a poster board and magazines and cutting out and writing beside it. I didn't see where the jump was bigger than that.
So you thought it was augmentation also? Yeah. So it was probably a little more than substitution, which using a computer to do what you would normally do on a poster board with magazines would be substitution. But a lot of people said it was modification. Anybody want to justify that?
Well,
Go ahead.
I don't know.
Josh.
I thought because they were using it to record, to share with their classmates and their teacher, that's different than just kind of getting up in a one-shot presentation, getting up and saying it in front of everyone. Because then from there you could, share it with other campuses, other classes.
That's true. That's true. Galen.
That couldn't have happened without the technology. That lesson couldn't have happened with the technology.
Without the technology.
Yeah, you had to have the technology for that.
Okay, so you think that made it jump to modification. Okay. Anyone else? All right, well, as you know, we want to tell our kids not all about the answer, it's about the thinking. But I had to have an answer, so I thought it was modification myself. But when I texted Michaela and asked her, she said, and I'm going back to the text because I can't remember what she told me. She said you could justify and defend video 1 to be augmentation or modification. So we all have the right idea. So she said it's either or, just depends. There's really, just so that you're getting up there, not to necessarily worry, it's redefinition or whatever. So we kind of have the right idea. We all felt it was one or the other. So now we're going to watch another video, real short video of a 5th grade classroom using, oh, yes, Tammy. In like a kinder classroom? Tammy said how could she have made that lesson redefinition? Does anybody have any ideas?
Like you said before, Skyping or logging all of the things that they were doing.
Or sharing that online, maybe?
Yeah, you're reaching out, or maybe you just have another classroom in somewhere in
Spain.
Africa.
Yeah.
If they use their vocabulary, their definitions that they created and turned it into some kind of game.
Oh, okay.
Then perhaps
A game, something online with the definitions that they created, turning it into some kind of game that possibly could be used globally. It's hard. I think it's going to be real hard to get to that redefinition level, because what I saw they were doing, I thought was fantastic. And it is. Like I said, there's always going to be a place for substitution. Just having kids get on iStation is probably just substitution. But there's a place for it. There's a need. Think through math. Those are substitution. It's when they start creating their own videos and, our Monday announcers. I would say that's modification. It's way up there. And then if we wanted to share that globally or with other campuses, that would be taking it to the redefinition level. But we've used it in a way that, is collaborating and such with the rest of the campus. Okay, so next video, go back over here, is 5th grade, like I said. I'm going to do the same thing, watch the video, and then I'll advance to the next slide, and you'll decide with your partner if it's an example of S, A, M, or R.
This lesson depicts my 5th grade students working with technology to define science vocabulary words. The students are creating videos in which they define the word, and these videos are used on our morning news each morning. The students research the word, create a storyboard, and once I approve the storyboard, they start making their slides, or they might use digital video cameras to further the definition of their word. Once everything is approved, they create their video and movie maker from PowerPoint. By integrating the use of technology, I'm not just lecturing to my students, but it's hands-on, they experience the learning themselves, and I become a facilitator. It's just authentic learning, and the kids are actually teaching themselves.
Okay, so talk about with your partner, what level of SAMR do you think that is? Be prepared to justify your answer. I'm going to go back to Nearpod. I'm going to advance to the next slide. Okay, here's just another graphic of the SAMR model, just to kind of review. So use this to help you decide which level you think that was. Okay, so now if you look at your screen, now you're going to type your answer. So before we did a poll, now you just type in whether you think it's substitution, augmentation, modification, or redefinition. And then our results will come up on here. And so what I like about this is if you use this in the classroom, you can, call out on different students. Why haven't you answered yet? We're still waiting on bag ladies and Baghdad, or whatever. So the other thing you can do with Nearpod is you can share out someone's response. So for example, if you look at your screen right now, you should have Jocel's answer. So we're going to let them explain. Why do you think it's redefinition?
I thought you wanted me to explain the we need snacks part.
That too.
I thought redefinition because the level of the teacher saying that basically she's a facilitator and they kind of take it to this creative level of, not only filming, editing, there's multiple tiers of knowledge going on and being demonstrated there just for one task. It could have been just, hey, research the vocabulary. But to take it to the point where it's being shared in a newscast that they edit, that they design, that they broadcast throughout the school, they came up, they made up their own definitions? Or put it in their own words, right?
I think so, yes. Yeah.
This was the reason why we saw it.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's pick Carlos. Carlos, you thought augmentation.
No, I changed my mind.
Well, no. I mean, it's all about the thinking.
At first, I thought, who cares if they're making a video? That's the same thing as regurgitating, making an old presentation. But somebody has a camera.
Right.
So what?
Right.
So I'm thinking some of these things aren't really redesigning the whole thing.
Okay.
And it was just vocabulary words.
Right.
So I was thinking that's kind of low.
Low level content, maybe. Okay. All right. So we also have quite a bit of people thinking it was modification. So, Shauna, explain to us why y'all thought modification.
Well, I felt that the students and the teachers were all part of the learning, even though the teacher was more of a facilitator, she was still part of it.
Right.
And I didn't think it went to redefinition because I didn't think that it was shared beyond
their campus. Okay. All right. Okay. Anybody pick substitution? Okay. So you see where we all have different ideas of what we think it is. And there is no right or wrong answer. I mean, I think what they were doing was fantastic. But if you, once again, I asked Michaela, what level would you say this is? And surprisingly, she said substitution or augmentation. And I thought that, doing the announcements, through the video announcements, that was more at least modification. So like I said, I don't exactly agree with that, but here or there, if you've got your kids doing things like this, they're learning, regardless of what level of SAMR they're at. Okay? If they're being able to create their own presentations, they're learning. And that's what we're here for. Oh, I know. Yes. So you think it's modification too? It was not. She was a facilitator of learning. Not a, yes. I think it was at least modification. Yvette?
I really think they were learning a lot about technology, and one vocabulary word, and if they're not listening to the announcements, then they just learn their one vocabulary word. I don't know where it would be, but I don't think they're changing the world. I just think it's if they're going into technology as a career, they've got to know some skills. But I think the target was to learn vocabulary words, not learn technology.
I like how you went back to learn target.
The freedom to choose which creative way to express the vocabulary word or choose. They weren't told exactly they had to show it and display it this way. So that was creative. Thinking how power was approach this.
Right. Anybody else?
I'm saying in the video it seemed like she gave them the mediums or the platforms to use. So they were able to research, make a PowerPoint, the PowerPoint was then turned into the movie maker. So it wasn't freedom. It didn't look like they got to choose.
Yeah.
But she had parameters.
Yeah. Okay, so to kind of sum all this up, like I said, we could sit and talk all day long about what level we think it is, but once again, if you've got students using technology this way, then they're learning, and that's the most important thing. So the good news is we are concluding Educate 1 today. This is session 6, so give yourself a hand. It's been a long year, and it feels like we did the last one 6 months ago. But anyway, so I don't know what's to come after this, but like Teresa said, ITL credit, we're supposed to get 6 credit hours a year during the school year. But the good news is, as a professional development presenter this summer, we are also being told that we need to make our presentations ITL credit worthy, so that when you come to your thing, you get your comp hours, plus you get your continuing education hours, plus you get your ITL credit in one session. So it's not going to be something that you're going to have to, now this is another thing I have to go to. We're going to try real hard to make all the sessions you go to this summer, power teaching, science module training, to be ITL credit worthy so you can get dual credit. Okay? Okay, Carlos and B need to sign if you have not signed yet, but we're not ready to go yet. This is your exit ticket, okay? We're done, but I need you to do one thing. So I'm going to look at your screen and advance to the next slide. Sammer Exeter, how will you apply innovative teaching and learning in your classroom? Tweet your reflection on Twitter using the hashtag LISDeducate. Okay? So that is your ticket out the door. Tweet something on Twitter. If you have a Twitter account, hopefully everybody in here does. That's fine. As partners is fine. Okay, just one of you do it. And be sure to use the hashtag so everybody can see. And I'll put up TweetBeam, which is that one I showed you many months ago, where if you put in a hashtag, it shows what everybody's hashtag is. I mean, what everybody's response is. Okay, so are there any questions? All right, Kathy, do you have anything that you want to say before we dismiss? Okay, thank you so much. And hospitality committee, read your email. And come sign in over here if you haven't done so.
Hi, so you just saw my faculty meeting. We just finished up, and I'm going to start my reflection on that with you right now. One of the guiding questions they had right at the beginning of our faculty meeting was, is technology essential in the process of learning? And we got to discuss that a little bit. I wish that we had been able to turn and talk to our partners a little bit about that, because I think that it is very necessary, especially now that we're trying to teach our kids to be 21st century students. There's so much technology integration that needs to be made. Our kids have to utilize technology right now because that's what the workforce is pushing, and that's just really how we live our lives nowadays. And I know with that comes a lot of issues we've been talking about in my my school law class, a little bit about how technology is sometimes posing problems with social media and things like that, and kids, saying things they shouldn't or videotaping things that they shouldn't. But I think if we start at an early age talking about digital citizen, how to be a digital citizen, and we show kids the creative and innovative ways to use technology, that we can help maybe buffer some of those problems early on, so that our kids are more respectful and understand the power behind the words that they're saying and putting out online for everyone to see. So I definitely think technology is essential in our classrooms today. Now, integrating that in a very meaningful way is still something that I'm definitely working on, and our whole school is working on, as you could see in the faculty meeting. Our presenters are our coaches, and they were helping us to see the different levels of integration. How, they said there was an S for substitution. Look at my notes. An A, augmentation. M is modification, and then R is the highest level we're trying to get to, is redefinition. And so I would like to have seen a video where it showed a classroom actually getting to that level. Our coach talked a little bit about how there was a high school in our district where the boys found a problem. There was a little girl whose arm it needed to be amputated, part of her arm, and so they are on the robotics team. They got together and they created a robotic hand for this little girl to use, which is, wow, amazing, right? But that, I guess, is where we're looking at. That's the highest level, it's kind of like Bloom's in a way, where they are creating, they're synthesizing, they are using technology at the highest level to create and then to share out globally, or at least further out than just the classroom or the school walls. So it was really interesting to me to think about the different levels, and oftentimes I feel like we kind of, or at least for myself, I get stuck at the augmentation modification. We're definitely using technology in my classroom. They're creating PowerPoints, and they're using different sites like Nearpod, which we used in the training today. So there's definitely a use of it, but I don't see the kids using it in a very in a way that's going to completely create something new that's going to solve like a real world problem. So I'm still figuring out ways to do that and incorporate it. I think through STEM you can do a lot more of that, but it's something that I'm still definitely working on. At my school, though, we use a lot of modification where the kids use technology to collaborate. We use Google Docs where they edit together, peer edit the docs that they're working on. The kids blog to answer questions instead of just writing it, on the paper. That way we're able to hear a lot of people's thoughts and discussions, kind of like our discussion boards at Lamar. It's kind of that same idea. So the kids are using technology not just for technology's sake, but to actually learn what other people are thinking, not just their partner, but everyone in the class, or maybe everyone in the school if you're sharing it out that way. So the meeting was really interesting, and we're definitely still at the bottom of our understanding of how to use technology to its fullest. But I think that I liked participating. I hope that I got to share a little bit of my ideas. We didn't get a lot of turning and talking and helping each other like we normally do, just because of the way the gym was set up. We are normally at tables where that kind of promotes collaboration, but now we were sitting in rows, and it was a really large space. But we tried to work around that and still get focused. In faculty meetings, it is always a little bit harder than in other meetings to participate appropriately, I think, just because there's all this pull around you, other teachers who are wanting to vent or talk or, getting off task and checking emails and stuff like that. Today there wasn't a lot of that, a little bit, but that's always a challenge, I think, as a presenter, to try to really capture the audience. And I think our presenters did a good job because they used technology, which is engaging, and they helped pace it for us. So I'm excited for my next video because I'll get the opportunity to lead. And so I look forward to sharing that with you. And thank you for this wonderful opportunity. I'm really enjoying this program. And I will see you guys soon. Thanks.